Here we are for another round of the 70s versus the 90s, and it's a case of l'amour fou when I put Martin Scorsese's New York, New York against Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge. And this one was an interesting one to get through because both of these movies are extravagance on a whole other level of stuff, and it's definitely, doomed romances from the start. So let's just dive right on in to the nitty and the picky. First up, we have Martin Scorsese's New York, New York, which, most people just consider Scorsese a director of gangster movies, but this one is the furthest thing from a gangster movie. It's a musical, the only musical that he did. But the thing about it is, it's a musical, but it's technically not a musical. It's not filled with, song and dance. There's plenty of that in it. Honestly, there's more jazz in the film than anything else. And the movie itself kind of plays like jazz. But the film stars Robert De Niro and Liza Minnelli, who they play they're both musicians. Liza Minnelli is a singer, and De Niro's a saxophonist, jazz saxophonist, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But they meet on VJ Day in New York, and of course, they hate each other at the beginning. He's trying to hit on her, because everybody's trying to get laid on VJ Day and stuff, and they end up, kind of in a little bit of a whirlwind romance because she can't help but be enamored with him. And, of course, once he hears her sing, then, it's like a kind of a partnership is born, and what this film is it definitely an homage to the kind of films that Liza Minnelli's father, Vincent Minnelli, made. Most specifically the Bandwagon. That can be definitely see for the color scheme alone, because the colors are absolutely brilliant. The set design, just the look of the film is incredible, and of course that happy endings sequence is very much in the vein of a Vincent Minnelli film, specifically the Bandwagon, and of course the biggest homage being the film that Liza Minnelli's mother, Judy Garland, was in, A Star Is Born, directed by George Cukor. And what New York, New York is it's an adult version of A Star Is Born. Because the thing about it is, where Scorsese is in love with these musicals that he grew up with as a kid, he's also, still very much in the mindset of one of his biggest heroes, John Cassavetes. And that's where the raw emotional energy comes into play. Plus, there's a lot of improvisation in the film, something that Cassavetes would do frequently in his career. And of course, you got De Niro and Scorsese both coming off of Taxi Driver. How the hell do you follow up a masterpiece like that? You do whatever the fuck you want to. And that's what they did. And, this is a film where, basically this is what So Much Cocaine looks like, because Scorsese was, still in the throes of his cocaine addiction. And the extravagance of the film and just the insanity. And also on top of that, Scorsese was banging Liza Minnelli around this time. So there's a lot of layers to this film that you can still enjoy it even if you don't know all of these things, the homages that he's trying to do, and all the behind the scenes liner notes and stuff. Because Scorsese had a penchant for banging all the daughters of his favorite directors. Like if Fellini had a daughter, he probably would have banged her too. But the film, what it does, where it's way better than any of the fucking four Stars Born movies ever made, where it deals with where the female becomes very a big star, because of course they end up getting married. She ends up pregnant, and then of course he's trying to struggle to like be a part of the band and or lead a band, but then that fucks up. But he's still trying to do his own thing because he's all about the music, and he really can't do anything else. He can't really express himself when he's not playing a saxophone. And of course, like, he can't, he's just raw emotion. He don't know how to express himself fully. And there's a brilliant moment when she's still pregnant. She's about to get a record deal. And they're at that jazz club, and of course, the actress who De Niro was banging at the time, Diane Abbott, plays a lounge singer, and there's that moment of him watching her. You can tell he's very enamored with her, and he's looking over at Liza Minnelli, and he's like, I don't know, you know, very a lot of little side notes to this movie and stuff. But where this movie is way better than The Star is Born is the fact that there's no suicide. Dude's not gonna kill himself just because his woman's doing way better than him, and he's a fucking train wreck ruining her. No, he's gonna do what a man does, and he just leaves and does his own thing. She becomes a big movie star, and then he becomes a big jazz star. You got that fucking radio DJ played by Casey Kasem. He ends up using like De Niro's thing as his theme song and shit. And that ending is perfect too. Because I think it was either Spielberg or George Lucas that told Scorsese that this movie would make way more money if they end up together at the end. You know what? That could very well be true, but the movie would have sucked ass. It wouldn't have been organic to the raw realism. Because yeah, he's paying homage to these sappy musicals, sappy endings, as De Niro calls Liza Minnelli's film in the movie. But the raw movie, what's beautiful about it is like, even though these motherfuckers have been through all this shit, and he goes to see her in the end, and of course, like, she sings his song to him. That it's a very beautiful moment, and then they think about getting together, and it's why this is a very adult movie. They realize they fucking can't, because they're more dedicated to their art than they are to each other. So this, is one of those things. It's kind of an overlooked masterpiece of Scorsese, kind of written off because of its extravagance, but it's fucking brilliant. That performances are great. The music is great. A lot of great jazz music in this film, and there's a lot of raw emotional energy. And then we move forward to Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge, which is everything that New York, New York is not. It is one self indulgent piece of shit. Granted, it's got Ewan McGregor, who can charm the pants off of anybody. I mean, Ewan McGregor is one of the greatest actors of his generation, and anybody else playing this role, this movie would have been even more shittier. And you got Nicole Kidman, who's the love interest. She's like the big star of the Moulin Rouge, and this is the most pastiche crap I've ever fucking seen, because it's like, I personally hate musicals, but I can respect musicals that come up with original music that's organic to the fucking story you're telling. Every fucking song in this movie is some fucking pastiche, copy and paste fucking bullshit, because they reference, like, how the hell you gonna have a damn romance scene and you're singing fucking Heroes by David Bowie and fucking that song up, you know? And it's like, you got goddamn Jim Broadbent, with his all painted up crazy, and you got fucking motherfuckers singing Nirvana, or goddamn, we're gonna fucking, all love is a mini splendored thing. It's love can lift us up where we belong, or fucking, it's just cringe worthy. Not to say that, like, and then you got John Leguizamo playing a midget. How the fuck you gonna speak out on motherfuckers not playing what they are when you playing a damn midget? Like, worried about it, white people playing Italian plumbers and shit. This movie's just garbage. The thing about Baz Luhrmann, he is known for making extravagant movies. They're just usually better than this. You can't even really praise the set design on this shit, because it feels like it was a lot of digitally enhanced bullshit, kind of utilizing the technology that came around in the turn of the century. And this movie is pretty much the death of the 90s, because it came out in 2001. And everything that was great about the 90s, even if they did a little extravagant, indulgent bullshit like this, it usually was a little more entertaining. This shit is just vomit inducing. It's like the best thing about Moulin Rouge is that fucking music video that they had. 'Cause the movie itself is just absolute fucking dog shit. Cause like Nicole Kidman is stale as fuck. Thing about it is that Ewan McGregor, he can sing. He can do it all. He's easily the best thing about this movie. I hate to shit on anything that Ewan McGregor is, but it ain't his fault this movie's trash. You got him fucking narrating the whole thing. He's writing it. It is some contrived pastiche bullshit. So, because this movie sucks so bad, I have to give this round to New York, New York. Mainly because, Martin Scorsese, one of the greatest directors of all time. I mean, granted, in this little competition, he's currently now sitting at the 3-2, but he went up against some heavy competition. So, and also the performances are fucking great, and it's an adult movie. The Moulin Rouge is some fucking immature bullshit. Whereas like you see like true love in New York, New York. You get it with people that don't know how to handle it, and they don't spend their time ripping off other bullshit. They fucking express it through raw emotions and stuff. And the music is more or less, you see, that's what they're passionate about. That's the only way they can express themselves as human beings. They can yell at each other and tell each other how much they hate each other or love each other, but they can only fully express themselves through the music, and they're not telling each other how they feel, they're showing them. So this is what the brilliant, and the set design, a lot better. There ain't no fucking digital shit in New York, New York. This shit is like motherfuckers actually made that shit, and it looked good. The colors were insane. Like Moulin Rouge wishes it had the style that New York, New York had. So for anybody keeping score, that is 95 to 76. 70s are up by 19 now. 90s were on the street, but New York, New York broke it. You can't really fuck with the maestro. So if I've said anything wrong, anything you disagree with, feel free to eviscerate me in the comments. It's just one asshole's opinion on a very long, self-indulgent journey to find out which decade was better for movies, the 70s or the 90s. And it's looking like I'm right. The motherfucking 70s, because they had masterpieces like this. It was where the old Hollywood playfulness, the old Hollywood, dream factory met the raw intensity of the 70s. And it was absolutely brilliant. So, just, it's all right to sing and dance. Just make it original, motherfuckers.